The topic I wanted to talk about tonight is, I think I called it the next step in your journey. And so I thought I'd talk about the, the journey, whatever it is, whether that's a healing journey or a spiritual journey or a self-realization journey. We all think we're on some kind of journey, however we characterize it to ourselves. For me, it was I guess it still is more of a, let's start it off as kind of a spiritual journey, and it turned into a healing journey. But always there's this idea that there's some place we need to go, right? Something we need to do, something we need to get. And that starts off in life with material things. I mean, we all start off thinking we need material things in life, a job, maybe a family, a place to live, a house, all that stuff, relationships. But if you're here listening to this, you've kind of figured out that all that material stuff only brings you so much happiness, that there's still, even if you've accumulated all those things that you need, all that you want, where you've gotten enough to realize that no matter how much of that physical stuff you get, you're still looking for something. There's still something missing, something we still need to find or do or be or become. And so the first step of the spiritual journey is usually to pretty much just grind away the ego, at least. And I figured this out listening to Alan Watts after I left my spiritual group, and his teachings really helped me make sense of my experiences studying with the teacher and going through kind of the old school hardcore spiritual path, meditating a whole bunch, doing all these impossible dharma tasks, things like that. And so it starts off when someone's looking for a teacher, looking for a journey, it's because they still think there's something they need to do, something they need to get. And so the teacher, a spiritual teacher, will provide a framework for this person to keep looking in these esoteric realms and keep looking spiritually for that thing, and keep giving the student all these impossible tasks until finally the student, after searching and trying and accomplishing thing after thing, finally the student realizes that, or just exhausts themselves and realizes there's really nothing to find, nothing to do, nothing to become. So that's really the first stage of the spiritual path, is usually studying with a teacher, because we still think there's something we need to do, and the teacher gives us all these opportunities to keep looking for that spiritual thing or self-realization thing or whatever you want to call it, until we finally realize that there's nothing the teacher can give us. There's nothing the teacher can tell us that we need to do. And so for me, it was after 10 years of studying with my teacher, and I felt like I wasn't making any more progress. And at first, when you first start with a teacher, you often feel like you're making rapid progress. You often will have these realizations and aha moments and self-discovery, and it can feel like we're making lots of progress. And it's kind of the thing where you get halfway there each time. And so at first you're making these big jumps forward and discovering yourself, finding yourself, or realizing the true nature of the ego. But after a point, those halfway jumps, they get smaller and smaller. And then eventually you're not really making much progress. And so it happened to me after about 10 years of studying with my teacher. And then I went off into the world and started searching for answers through life. And so this happens on the personal, individual level. And there's a lot of people like me out there who've been studying with teachers. But this also happens, I think this also happens on a collective ego level. So the collective ego of our human consciousness. And with the rising popularity of spirituality in recent years, our ego has kind of gotten to that point. Our collective human ego. There's a lot of people out there studying on these paths, studying with good, real teachers, and I think it feels like now our collective human ego is realizing that there's only so much a teacher can do for you. I mean, we've all heard, we already know all the teachings, right? Especially if you're watching this, you know all of the ideas out there, all things like detachment and the ego, right? You've all heard all these concepts. We all intellectually, we know all this stuff. Our collective ego has absorbed all of these teachings. And then now, with everything going on in the world, with COVID, with the climate crisis, with all these natural disasters, it's kind of like the world, I mean, life is scrubbing away, grinding away our collective human ego right now. We've got no more choice but to start facing ourselves, looking within, right? If we keep going on the course that we're on, we're gonna keep going until enough calamities happen that we're forced to stop and reevaluate. So the sooner we can all stop and reevaluate, the less calamities, the less bloodshed, the less disasters there's going to be. But it feels like we're in for some more calamities before we have major sweeping awakenings across our human consciousness. And even though there's a lot of people starting to wake up, starting to realize that we have to look within, there's still a lot of people that are resisting that, and a lot of people feeling this pressure that the earth is placing on us and just kind of freaking out and still blaming others, I mean, there's a whole lot of blame out there in the world now, especially with the political division among us. Everyone's blaming the other side for all the problems. And so I think as a species, we're at this point where kind of a lot of people like me reached, where we have to start realizing there's the answers are not out there. There's nothing more we need to find. There's nothing more we need to learn. There's nothing more we need to uncover. We just need to start turning within and finding our answers within, finding our peace within. And so I know these are all words you've heard before as well. So I thought we could try a little exercise. So let's close our eyes and just hear these words I'm saying, but also feel the energy behind them. Try to feel the understanding behind them. And just consider for a moment, ask yourself, what if there's no more work you need to do on yourself? What if there's no more healing you need to do? What if there's no more realizing you need to do? What if the only next step is to accept yourself exactly as you are? Accept your life exactly as it is. Accept this crazy, messed up world exactly as it is. And love it all. Love yourself exactly as you are in this moment. Love your life exactly as it is. Love the world exactly as it is right now. What if all your perceived flaws, if all the wounds you think you need to heal, what if all of that will be fixed? All your wounds will be healed, your flaws will be fixed. If you simply accept yourself exactly as you are right now. And feel the love that's inside you, the love that you are, the love that's all around us. Because the original wound at the core of it all, the flaw that's at the core of it all, is when we were born into this physical world. Because it feels like we left the state of love. We left the state of total connection, the state of total bliss. It feels like we left that when we were born. But we didn't really. We're just poking our heads out into this physical world, looking around. But all the love that we could ever want is still inside us now. And it is us, and it's all around us. There's just love. All of it is just love. And all we have to do is love. Let's just sit here for a few minutes feeling that. If it doesn't feel true to you, then you can place your hands on your heart, either out loud or in your head. Just keep repeating, I love you, until you feel it, until you feel the truth of that in your heart, in your body. You feel the love that you are. When you're ready, you can once more deepen your inhale. Come back to the body.